Hi guys, I will discuss important math concepts in studying BS Accountancy. Kasi ito yung palaging tinatanong or palaging stigma sa BS Accountancy students. Pag accountancy student ka, magaling ka sa math. Ang personal opinion ko dito, it's not always the case. However, in studying business accountancy, we need to take note of important math concepts. So yung lahat ng i-discuss ko ngayon, at some point, lahat ng mga to, mag-a-apply to sa karamihan ng mga accounting topics. Kaya kailangan natin siyang i-familiarize as soon as possible or before or while we're studying BS accountancy, we need to make sure that we master these concepts. So let us start. First is time value of money. This is a very important concept in BS accountancy. Kahit sa board exam, maraming questions about time value of money. Pwedeng financial accounting, pwedeng management advisory services. Kasi sa capital budgeting, ginagamit din ang time value of money. So kaya, this is a very important concept that accountancy students must familiarize. So first is future value versus present value. Kailangan clear kung ano nga ba ang difference ng future value at present value. So ganito, pag future value, ano yung value niya today? Ang hinahanap natin, magkano siya sa future. So given yung value today, magkano siya sa future. Meanwhile, pag present value naman, baliktad. Pag present value naman, baliktad. Alam natin kung ano ang value niya sa future. Pero ang hinahanap natin, magkano yung value niya ngayon? Or what is the value as of the moment or today? So that's the difference between future value and present value. And in BS Accountancy, most of the time, we are using present value. So, yan. Ginagamit natin most of the time ang present value. And then, number 2, kailangan nating malaman ano ang difference ng lump sum, installment, and uneven cash flows. So, kailangan klaro kung ano nga ba ang difference ng tatlo. Bakit importante to? Kasi magmamatter siya sa formula. Iba ang formula na ginagamit natin pag lump sum. Ibang formula naman ang ginagamit natin pag installment. And if it is uneven cash flows, depende sa problem or depende sa scenario ng problem. Kung ano nga ba ang pinakamagandang formula na pwedeng gamitin. So, eto, kailangan klaro to. Ano yung difference ng lump sum, installment, and uneven cash flows? Kasi iba yung formula na ginagamit. And then lastly, how to compute for interest expense and carrying amount. So kaya gumagawa tayo ng amortization table. Nung early, yung first year tayo or nung senior high school. Pinapagawa tayo ng amortization table for us to find out how much is the interest expense and how much is the carrying amount. But when you go further or when you go year after year or kung fourth year na kayo, di ba hindi na kayo gagawa ng amortization table. Dapat yung interest expense at yung carrying amount, kaya nyo na siyang isolve sa calculator. Or kaya nyo na siyang isolve kahit calculang. Kahit hindi na kayo gumagawa ng amortization table. And most of the time, pag time value of money ang problem, especially sa financial accounting, ito palagi yung tinatanong. How much is the interest expense and how much is the carrying amount? Kaya ito yung mga kailangan nyong malaman sa time value of money. Next is algebra and workbook. In mathematics or in accounting, algebra is the most important math concept. Kasi ang algebra, lahat ng topics sa accounting. At some point, kailangan mong gumamit ng algebra. Pero most of the time, ito yung application ng algebra. Number one, finding fixed cost and variable cost in MAS. So, kung gusto mong hanapin, magkano yung fixed component at magkano yung variable component, kailangan mong gumamit ng Hilo method or linear regression method. So both those formulas apply algebra. And then ito din, how to find missing information in advanced accounting. Especially pag advanced accounting or especially pag workbook, kailangan mo ng algebra. So that's why, kung napapansin nyo, sa advanced accounting, ang palaging nag-e-excel, yung mga magaling sa math or yung mga genius sa math. Kasi, yung advanced accounting, it uses a lot of algebra and it uses a lot of workbook. Kaya, nagagamit din to sa advanced accounting. And then, next is computing for bonuses in financial or advanced accounting. Kung napapansin nyo sa mga books na binabasa nyo, especially pag bonuses, di ba yung presentation niya, algebra? It is presented in a formula or in an algebraic equation. So that's why yung bonuses, gumagamit yan ng algebra. Especially yung bonus, after bonus, and after tax. Yun. Grabe yung application ng algebra. And then lastly is financial ratios. Sa financial ratios, especially sa board exam or sa exams, most of the time, the questions are workbook. So, let's say may dalawang financial ratios na binigay. Ang tinatanong sa'yo, how much is the cash? Or how much is the current assets? That's why, pag financial ratios, expect that most of your exams in financial ratios will be about workbook. So, you're using the financial ratios to find missing information. And then, next is weighted average. Ang weighted average, ginagamit talaga siya sa accounting. Ito yung tatlong examples. Finding weighted average capital in partnership, finding weighted average number of ordinary shares outstanding in earnings per share, and finally, finding weighted average expenditures in borrowing costs. Kung napapansin nyo yung tatlo, di ba common? Ang ginagawa natin in finding the weighted average capital in partnership is the same with other examples. 'Di ba? Weighted average in terms of time. Sa weighted average, ang assumption is pag January 1, 12/12. Pag March 31 naman, 9/12. Pag December 1 naman, 1/12. So, yun. Ginagamit natin ang weighted average. And pag sinabi nating weighted average, we're talking about time. Weighted average in terms of time. Kaya as possible, kailangan aware kayo kung ang February 1 ba, is it 11/12 or 12/12? Di ba dapat ang February 1, 11/12 siya sa pag-compute ng weighted average. So yun, ito palagi yung confusing paminsan or ito yung confusing. Especially pag June 1 at July 1. Saan sa dalawa ang 6/12? Di ba ang 6/12, July 1? Ang June 1, 7/12. So yun yung ginagamit natin or yun yung mga common mistakes in computing weighted average. And then ito, gross profit ratios. Palagi natin tong nadadaanan. Pero hindi natin nare-realize kung gaano kaimportante ang concept na to. So gross profit ratios can be divided into two. It may be gross profit on sales and gross profit on cost. Kung napapansin nyo, ang gross profit ratios, ginagamit siya in the majority of advanced accounting topics. Mapa installment sales, mapa home office and branch transactions, or kahit consolidated financial statements, ina-apply natin ang gross profit ratios. Di ba pag shipments from home office to branch, ginagamit natin yung concept na to. Or when the parent sold inventory to the subsidiary, ina-apply din natin yung concept dito. And then, I will give you a further clarification in this topic. I want to discuss that there's a difference between build at 120% of cost and build 120% above cost. Ito, palaging trick question to pag advanced accounting. Ano nga ba ang difference ng 120% of cost at 120% above cost? So, meron tayong sample problem. If the cost is 100 pesos, pag sinabi nating build at 120% of cost, 100 times 120%. So, the answer will be 120 pesos. Pag ang stated sa problem, build at 120 of cost. Ito naman, paano kung build at 120% above cost? So, ibig sabihin nito, ang gross profit is 120% above cost. So, ang gagawin natin dito, cost plus billing price or yung bill ni, let's say, home office. 100 pesos times 1 plus 1.2. Kasi 120% above cost. So yung cost, papatungan pa natin siya ng 120%. So ganun yung interpretation. Ang 100 pesos, papatungan natin ng 120% cost. So that's why 100 times 1 plus 120%. So the answer will be 220 pesos. So always remember the difference between build at 120% of cost and above cost. They are different. Next is we have depreciation. So maraming methods sa depreciation. Straight line, double declining balance, sum of year digits, and depreciation based on production. I will not discuss this further kasi alam ko, ito yung pinakamadaling topic sa accounting. So I do not need to discuss this a lot. Ang masasabi ko lang, double declining balance and sum of year digits are accelerated depreciation methods. Yun ang pagkakaiba ng double declining balance at sum of year digits sa straight line method. Because double declining balance and sum of the year digits are accelerated depreciation methods. And then, next is reconciliation. Hindi siya necessarily math concept, pero kung napapansin nyo, kailangan nating mag-reconcile. Let's say, bank reconciliation, home office and branch reconciliation, accounting income and taxable income reconciliation, Ano nga ba ang approach pag reconciliation ang problem? Kailangan nating alamin what are the adjustments. Pag bank reconciliation, we need to be aware of book adjustments and bank adjustments. Pag home office and branch naman, we need to be aware of adjustments by home office and adjustments by branch. And then ito naman, pag accounting income and taxable income reconciliation, we need to determine what are the permanent differences and temporary differences. So, pag sinabi nating reconciliation, kailangan nating alamin ano dapat ang adjustments. What are the necessary adjustments? And then last naman is proportion and allocation. Kasi sa accounting, we need to allocate cost. We need to allocate losses. Or we need to allocate revenue to different performance obligations. So, kung napapansin nyo, sa accounting, maraming topics na related sa allocation. First is activity-based costing. How do we allocate the cost to products based on different activities? So that is activity-based costing. Ang cost driver mo, different activities. And then ito naman, process costing. Kung napapansin nyo, process costing talks about how do we allocate cost to the work in process and the finished goods inventory. Magkano ang i-allocate natin sa finished goods? Magkano ang i-allocate natin sa work in process? And in case that there are abnormal spoilage, magkano ang i-allocate natin sa abnormal spoilage? So that is process costing. Pag joint and byproduct costing naman, how do we allocate the cost to joint products? So ano na naman? Allocation. How do we allocate the cost to different joint products? And then, pag advanced accounting, how do we allocate the profit? Or how do we allocate the loss to the partners? Di ba yung profit distribution, it's a matter of allocation. It's a matter of allocation. And finally, sa IFRS 15, how do we allocate the contract price to the different performance obligations? So, paano natin i-allocate yung contract price sa different performance obligations? So, ito, ang point ko, ang pag-allocate, common yan sa karamihan ng accounting topics. Ang kailangan mong alamin, pag ganito yung question is how. The question is how. How do you allocate the cost? Or how do you allocate the cost to different joint products? Ano bang gagamitin mong basis? So, ito ang takeaway natin. Pag ganito yung problem, kailangan maging aware ka kung paano mo i-allocate. You need to be aware on how to allocate the products. Yung how, doon na papasok yung theory. Doon na papasok yung concept. So, ang point ko, theory and problem solving goes hand in proportion and allocation. So that's it for the important math concepts that you need to know in studying BS Accountancy. So I hope that you learned something from this video. And if ever you like the video, please click like. That's it. And if you have questions, the comment section is available. Thank you.